Ohio is following in Texas's footsteps and actually traveling a little bit further in their attempt to effectively nullify women's reproductive rights. They have this House Bill 480 that would make abortion at any stage of pregnancy illegal. HB 480 in Ohio goes further than SB 8 in Texas by criminalizing abortion after the point of conception, the point when an egg is fertilized. The text of the bill explains that legislators designed the law to ensure medical providers make all reasonable attempts to keep a pregnant person and their quote unquote, in their words, unborn child alive, using language that shifts how the law interprets when life starts. And so bear in mind, this is also similar in some ways to the Texas law. It's also turning every Karen in Ohio into someone who can sue you if you're even tangentially involved in someone exercising the rights that they've had longer than any of us have been alive. But they're not giving you a few weeks. They're not making it only effectively impossible for you to exercise this before you'd even know you're pregnant. They're just taking that entire step out and saying the second that there's fertilization, when conception has happened, that's when it becomes illegal, and people can snoop in and they can sue the doctors and the nurses and someone who perhaps escorts a woman into the clinic so that the bloodthirsty protesters don't literally kill her. All of them can now be sued for $10,000 because again, they want our country filled with vigilantes.
So the people who are costing the patients cannot be sued, but the people protecting the patients can and will be sued. Just so you understand how perverse this law is. But Morgan Harper is running for Senate in Ohio. So Morgan, what do you think?
Yeah, this is another example of how the GOP in our state legislature are 100% on the side of stripping away all sorts of constitutional rights. And yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of attention paid on Texas because not only is their state legislature passing bills like this, but they also have a governor that people see as pretty repulsive. We have Mike DeWine, who folks like to think of as pretty reasonable, but then he's overseeing a party that is going even further in its legislation and trying to get rid of access to abortion altogether. It is disgusting. The only way that we can do something about it is by codifying Roe v. Wade into law. We need to expand the Supreme Court to make sure that that body is less radicalized. And to do anything right now, we also need to reform and get rid of the filibuster. So the pathway to do something is clear at the federal level, and in Ohio, we desperately need federal action because our Ohio state legislature is not on the side of protecting our rights.
Morgan, do we know if DeWine is going to sign this if it passes?
Not sure. But what's very clear is that he is also placating a Trumpian base, and as we've talked about all evening, that base will take us into the farthest depths of disgusting behavior and trying to not just strip away abortion rights, but make no mistake about it. This is a gateway to try to just strip away all sorts of other rights that and try to discriminate against people for all sorts of reasons and unleash this vigilante culture. So that's the state of affairs in Ohio. It's why we desperately need better federal leadership because we've probably lost our legislature for the next several years to these types of folks and laws.
Yeah, and guys, understand one more thing about this draconian law. It's worse than Texas's because you don't even have 6 weeks. So as soon as you have theoretical conception, it kicks into effect. So that might actually affect some forms of birth control as well. So we're going so far back now. Now we're back at that. The last time I saw the stat, which was a number of years ago, during the Sandra Fluck controversy, if you remember that, and that was because Obamacare had provisions related to birth control. 99% of adult women in America use birth control, and a lot of Republicans are against it. They want to ban it, and this would actually ban a couple of forms of birth control because of when they take effect. So it's totally nuts.
Yep.
It's American Taliban.
It's really nuts. Yeah, I mean, I talked to so many women, especially in Ohio. I was at a rally in Mason, Ohio with some older women, and they're just in shock that this is where we're at, that we're even having to fight this fight again. And it's really depressing, but it's why people have to be mobilized right now because yeah, we are under attack. And I do want to shout out the activists and organizers that are doing whatever they can to educate people throughout Ohio on this. We have a lot on the line right now.
All right, well, we do need strong Democratic leaders and strong progressives. Otherwise, Same thing will happen in Ohio that happened in Texas. Our side will fold, the Republicans will win, you'll only hear their message, and you'll never hear our message. So that's why we fight back here. Everybody on the show agrees to that for sure. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.